truth is a funny thing. Does it live in the world? Or in the mind? Is it constant? Or can it be bent? Who decides what is true? In this universe of light and dark, there is no greater power. Tell me, little lights, what is your truth now?
The Witch Queen, hive god of cunning and lies. After the death of her brother Oryx, Savathun went into hiding. Not out of fear, of course, but out of strategy. In her greatest trick yet, stealing our most sacred resource. The one thing we thought she could never touch. The light.
It's beautiful. There's a lot to love. There's a few things we saw in the trailer that we haven't talked about yet.
Savathun and her Lucent Brood. This is the biggest threat Guardians have faced yet, so we need to find new weapons to match their power. The glaive. I love this thing. It's brutal and elegant. It's this new energy weapon with melee abilities, mid-range projectiles, and defensive capabilities. It's our first ever first-person melee weapon, and it is such an awesome tool for the battlefield.
The glaive feels so good. Just jump in and unleash these brutal melee combos and transition right to an energy blast. It's really powerful and has a lot of utility.
So, we've told you about what the glaive can do. Now let's talk about how you're gonna get your hands on one. These weapons don't come out of chests at the end of missions, and you're not gonna find one roaming around the throne world. Your first glaive is not going to be found. It's going to be built.
Yes, weapon crafting is coming to Destiny 2. Now, chasing weapons has been an integral part of the Destiny Pursuit game since the beginning. And over the years, we've added more deterministic paths to get the rolls that you want on guns. Think things like Umbral engrams and the raid chest.
Weapon crafting unlocks the freedom to choose all that and more. It gives us ultimate control over the guns. Now, this is a combat-focused crafting and progression system. That means the more you use these weapons, the more objectives you complete with them, the more you'll level them up, and the more powerful they grow over time. And at launch, here's the awesome thing. You'll be able to craft all Throne World weapons, new raid weapons, and the seasonal weapons. There's just a ton of stuff to do in this system. And the Witch Queen is just the beginning of weapon crafting. We have plans to add more craftable weapons, both legacy and new, throughout the year.
We've seen and we've talked about a lot of really cool features, but let's get right into the meat of it. Let's talk about the Witch Queen campaign.
I love campaigns. They've always been a cornerstone of the Destiny experience. They're rich, deep stories interwoven with big combat sequences and memorable characters. They take us to remote worlds in our ever-changing universe. And so we're putting extra care into the campaign for the Witch Queen. We want you to feel those goosebumps when you step onto the throne world for the first time and come face to face with Hive Guardians.
And every one of the missions has its own unique fantasy. Like, what does it feel like to storm a castle or just go straight into the depths of hell?
If you like games with standalone campaigns like Doom, Titanfall 2, God of War, and Halo, then the Witch Queen is for you. So, in addition to our classic normal mode, Legendary is our tougher, aspirational version of the campaign, where the enemies hit harder and respawning is heavily restricted. So every battle is a gut punch. Every boss is a worthy adversary. It's gonna hurt. You might tap out, but if you persist and you get to the end, your time will be well rewarded.
Whether you want to play solo or with a fire team, the difficulty will scale based on how many people you bring. Before we go, one last trip.